Self-help, it's everywhere. It's that section that keeps getting bigger and bigger on every bookstore, on social media, on YouTube. It's that discussion we overhear many times trying to drink our morning coffee. It's a trend, a big one, with thousands of proclaimed or self-proclaimed mentors, coaches, gurus jumping in every single year. Actually, on Amazon, there's over 70,000 titles just on the self-help section. Looks like there's always someone around to help the self. But self-help's true if you do it yourself. Otherwise, it's just help. Anyway, I want to talk today about the ancient Greek philosopher that created the first self-help system. And yes, there were life coaches, public speaking coaches, mentors, gurus, 2,200 years ago as well. Not much has changed except the fact that the people from back then, who we still talk about today, are the real deal. So let's go back a bit to the ancient Greek philosophers. While philosophers like Plato were more idealistic or abstract in their approach, Epicurus gave practical advice that anyone can follow when it comes to living a good life. He studied what makes people happy and created a practical, rational system on how to achieve this. So how does one become happy? For Epicurus, happiness would be achieved when two states of minds are pursued. One is ataraxia, which can be translated as peace of mind, serenity, tranquility, and the other one is aponia, which can be translated as freedom from physical and mental pain or suffering. Okay, so far so good, but how do we achieve this? While concepts like peace of mind, tranquility, happiness can be rather abstract, for Epicurus, pleasure was a very experiential thing. So to live a happy life, we must make it in such a way that we derive the most amount of pleasure from it and minimize pain. Now it's important to point out that Epicurean pleasure is not overindulging the senses, being gluttonous, drinking or partying excessively or going to orgies. He actually encourages us to understand what the word pleasure means and to carefully take inventory of the things we are doing in our lives to see what can cause happiness and what can actually be harmful for us. For him, a weekend of partying is something that should be avoided. Why? Because we trade a few moments or hours of highs for potentially a few days of hangovers, feeling sick, feeling down, and nowadays even feeling depressed. It might affect us negatively on the long term, preventing ataraxia, which is peace of mind, tranquility, serenity, and aponia, which is freedom from pain and suffering. He also noticed that we are pleasure-seeking organisms, and we also like to avoid pain as much as possible, naturally. It's evident in human beings of all ages, babies, young people, and grown-ups as well. Since this is something that we naturally do, it's very important to understand what constitutes pleasure and what constitutes pain. I personally love to have a great time. I love to travel, I love to meet people, I love to attend social events and parties where people are really enjoying themselves. But after a while I caught myself having some beliefs and behaviors around parties that on the long term were causing more pain than actual pleasure. I would drink at parties and I didn't like that. And I really couldn't see myself enjoying myself without drinking. And in my culture, we kind of drink quite a bit. But we get the worst hangover sometimes, and it was something I would have to take as a default consequence. It negatively impacted my mental state and my well-being, and usually would come with some unhealthy food as a package as well. Epicurus taught me to have a really close look at what I'm doing and to decide if it's something that moves me towards a happy life or away from it. And it was giving me both healthy and unhealthy benefits. So what I did was to reinvent my concept of partying and socializing and giving it a healthier approach. So what I did was start looking for places and groups where people would party and have a great time and dance, but they were not consuming alcohol. I also found parties that start at decent hours and also end at decent hours, so I don't have to mess up my sleep schedule. Actually, what I really love is to dance, enjoy music, and be around high-vibe people. But I had this belief that it always has to come with this pain-inducing consequence. But it's not true. In the previous video, I expand more on what Epicurus considers natural and unnatural types of pleasures and desires. In brief, he encourages us to stay closer to a life of moderation and keep our desires and pleasures as natural as possible. He said, be moderate in order to taste the joys of life in abundance. He If we build our life around having our basic needs met, having basic good food, healthy food, shelter, studying philosophy, having a really good group of friends that support each other, and if we avoid vain and unnatural desires such as unlimited power, fame, influence, trying to control events that are out of our control, trying to control other people, we will easier achieve this state of happiness. Platonic friendship was also very important to Epicurus. He believed that through friendship, individuals can find comfort and support in times of need, and that good friends and friendship can help alleviate fear and anxiety. He also thought that friends can support each other and help each other make wise and good decisions that can help them avoid all of that unnecessary pain or suffering. I believe we're living in the most abundant time ever when it comes to deliberately creating a good peer group. While social media has some negative effects as well, it provides us with a great opportunity to find events, groups, people that we can connect with based on common interests, and we don't have to settle anymore for what our default environment gives us in terms of friends. Another important pillar for happiness for Epicurus is to study philosophy. For Epicurus, studying philosophy was an important means to understand the world we live in, also to develop our mental faculties, eliminate fear and superstitions, and help us make better decisions when it comes to living a good life. Epicurus emphasized that courage is also important in achieving happiness, because it takes courage to build new and strong relationships and to make it through difficult times. Here is also studying philosophy is a key ingredient. His system for happiness emphasizes eliminating two main fears: the fear of death and the fear of the gods. According to Epicurus, we should not fear death, because death is the end of our bodily consciousness and it cannot be experienced as pleasurable or painful. He also noticed how much fear and anxiety people experience consistently by fearing the gods and the afterlife. Energy that could be directed towards living a happy life now and here. He logically proved that the gods do not concern themselves with our affairs and are not here to punish or reward us. So why fear them? In summary, Epicurus' formula for living a happy life can be summed up in: live in moderation, be grateful for what you have, and keep your pleasures and desires as close to nature as possible. Get clear on what constitutes pleasure and what constitutes pain, and stay as close to pleasures as much as possible. Avoid vain desires such as pursuing unlimited money, fame, power, or control over other people. Remove mental fears such as fearing death or fearing the gods, or fearing the future, or worrying about things that happened in the past that we have no control over. Develop a group of solid, genuine friends that support each other. And last but not least, study philosophy, as it's one of the key ingredients to happiness, according to Epicurus. Hope you enjoyed this condensed version of Epicurus' system for happiness, and check out more of his work. Help me out, hope it can help you. And like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video. It helps us in getting the ideas out there. This is Tiberius. Believe it's possible. Oh wow, you made it to the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed it. Here's another video that I recommend you watch. And thank you for sharing the positive vibes.